Hey guys, I have someone that's going to be coming on live with me. I'm just waiting for them to get on. But I wanted to come on and talk to you guys for a little bit. Hopefully I'm not on here for another 3 hours. Always ends up being so long. But, yeah, I have no makeup on. I never go on without makeup on, but I'm waiting for a friend to get on who's like super into this. We just met last night. I don't know if you guys know, I got banned for 24 hours because of my Disney video. And that video got taken down after 2 weeks. Yeah, TikTok is messing with my stuff. So they took my video down, and it was I was banned for 24 hours, but there's another creator on here who also posted about the same thing, and her video went viral in 6 hours, and they took her whole account down. But then they ended up putting it back up because she won the appeal. So her account is back up. But I'm waiting for her to come on so we can go live together. And she has so many answers to questions you guys have been asking me. And I was like, I really need to go live with you so that people can like, ask you these questions and you have the answers, because she knows so much. I got my past life reading yesterday, and apparently I started incarnating 11,000 years ago in Atlantis. Well, for the third density, I think, because I had my first density life as a water element, and then in the second density I was a stone, and I was also in the plant form, and then in the animal form. And then in my third density, I started incarnating 11,000 years ago in Atlantis at first, and then in Egypt. And then I incarnated in like the 17. I was going to write it down, and I forgot to write it down for you guys. I got to write it down. Oh, 222 viewers. I incarnated in Greece, which is so crazy because I've always had a connection to Atlantis. I've always had a connection to Greece. And one time when I was on shrooms, I looked at my sister and I saw her like an Egyptian goddess. So then I was like, oh my God, of course I would have a past life in Egypt. So, and then in my life in Greece, apparently I was a musician, but I struggled a lot in that life, but I had a lot of money. So I shared it a lot with like my family and my friends and stuff. And then I ended up I passed in 1914, and then I came back in 1987 as this being, and I came back to ascend into the fourth density. So isn't that so crazy? It's so cool. If you guys are interested in getting your past life reading, if you guys haven't checked out Sam the Illusionist on YouTube, go check out his videos. He channels like higher density beings. So he channels the Galactic Federation. He's channeled the Pleiadians, the Andromeda, like he channels all of the higher dimensional beings. So I've been watching him on YouTube, and I saw that he was like, oh, like if you want to do a past life reading, email me. And so I emailed him, and he doesn't have a set price. He really just takes donations, and then you just have to give him like your full name and your birthday. And he will channel your higher self. And so you get to ask 3 questions. And I asked, like, how can I turn my life path into a career? And I asked, can you tell me about my past lives, and what era they occurred in? And then what was my third question? I don't remember what my third question was. But Sam the Illusionist, his email... Oh man, I can't remember his email. I think it's samtheillusionist1@gmail.com. But go to his YouTube, Sam the Illusionist on YouTube. He only has like 300 or something followers. He's from India. TikTok is banned in India. He didn't know me, obviously, when I booked. He just takes donations, so whatever you can pay. I paid him. I sent him $50 just because like I didn't know what the right amount was. So that's what I sent him. I don't know how much that converts to in India, but he pretty much just takes whatever you can give him. He doesn't have a set price, and you send it through PayPal. And he didn't know anything about me, obviously, because oh no, don't send anything on here. TikTok takes all of the money on here. Don't send any money through here. So I forgot what I was saying. Okay, so it's Sam the Illusionist on YouTube. Look him up. He has like 300 subscribers. He doesn't really have that many. Oh, so I booked it with him without him knowing anything about me. Obviously, he doesn't have TikTok. He doesn't know anything about me. He doesn't know my YouTube or anything. And then I asked very vague questions because I didn't want him to have any indication of anything about me. So I just said, can you tell me about my past lives and what era they occurred in? Because I wanted to know if he would say things that I resonated with. And so he did. He said that my first third density life started in Atlantis, which I have a connection to Atlantis. I've always felt drawn to Atlantis, even though I don't know anything about it. So that was the first one. Then he said that I incarnated again in Egypt, which when I was on shrooms that one time, I looked at my sister and I saw her like an Egyptian goddess. Like I saw her dressed with the headdress and everything. She literally was dressed like an Egyptian goddess. And I told her, and I was like, oh my God, I can see you. Like you look like an Egyptian goddess. And she was like, thanks. And apparently my sister and I have done this like a lot of times. She's part of my soul family. So I wouldn't be surprised if we incarnated in Egypt together. Then he said that I incarnated in Greece, which I've always had a connection to Greece. Anytime anybody asked me where is the one place you would want to go if you traveled, I always said Greece, but I never knew anything about Greece. I just think it's pretty. So I never gave him any indication about myself at all. So I said he told me that I had a past life in Greece and that I was a musician, and that I struggled a lot in that life because in that life it was a self-serving life. So I came here to like fulfill my wishes and my dreams, which was to be a musician. And I've always wanted to sing, but I never felt like I was good enough. And so I wonder if in that life I was a singer and I just struggled a lot. So I never pursued that in this lifetime. But in that life, apparently I made a lot of money, and I was able to share it with like my friends and family. So I was very successful in that life financially, but I struggled a lot with other things, which makes sense because in this life, I never care about anything material. Like I don't care about having the nicest things or going shopping. Like I don't like to go shopping. I don't like to go to the store. I don't like to buy anything. I don't care about anything that has to do with money. So it makes sense that in that life I had it and I didn't, it didn't bring me happiness. So then I ended up dying in 1914, and then I ended up, I wonder how old I was. I have to listen to the video again. So it wasn't like a face-to-face, session. Pretty much what you do is you give him your full name. If you can say your full name, like I literally gave him like my first, middle, last, and my mom's maiden name. And then your birthday, and he goes into meditation, and then he channels your higher self, and then your higher self will answer your questions. Now I think he said, I think you can do like Akashic reading stuff with him, but he had said past life. So I only asked things about past life because I didn't know if he could do my Akashic reading, and I had just gotten my Akashic reading done by someone else, but the other person isn't taking appointments. So after he did my reading, he did let me know also like what other planet I was from or whatever, which I was like, oh, that's so weird, because they said I was Pleiadians, right? But my other Akashic reading said I was from Sirius. So then I was like, oh, that's so weird, because my other reading said, and he's like, well, you have to remember there's alternate timelines and alternate realities. So your soul could have split up into different forms to get to where you are now. And I was like, well, that makes sense too. So my other reading said I connect with Pleiadians because I've worked with them in the past. So it makes sense that it would be both of them. So I told him that everything resonated, and I said, hey, I actually have a TikTok with like over 620,000 followers. Would you be interested in me sharing your info with my followers? Because I know a lot of them would love to do this. And I said, let me know. I'm sure it would bring you a lot of business. And he was like, oh my gosh, you really are a light worker. Like, you're amazing. That would be awesome. Thank you so much. And so, he did give me his, the email. But if you want, I don't have the email right now, but I know his name is Sam the Illusionist on YouTube. If you go on his YouTube, you go to the end of the videos, he says, if you want to do a past life reading, email me, and he says his email. So definitely book him. He will literally he says whatever you can donate, whatever is affordable. So then you send it through PayPal. He doesn't have a TikTok because TikTok is banned in India. So he doesn't have a TikTok, and he's like, I wish I had a TikTok, I would follow you, but I can't. So if you guys are interested in booking him, I am going to make a video about it. I found him because somebody commented on my videos and was like, have you watched Sam the Illusionist on YouTube? He can channel the Galactic Federation and higher beings. And I was like, no. So I went on there. I have featured him on my TikTok. I have shown his video where he talked about Elon Musk buying Twitter before it happened. He's the one who talked about the looking glass and told us the history, because the higher beings let him know the whole history about the looking glass. So if you guys listen to my podcast or watch my live on my YouTube where I talked about the looking glass, he's the one that I got the information from. He has a video where it was posted like 3 months ago where he tells you how you yourself can channel a higher being, and I'll share that video too. I asked him for a direct link to that video, but I definitely think I trust him. Like, I get a good feeling about him, and I think he's great. I mean, everything he told me resonated with me without him knowing anything about me. And the fact that I gave like my mom's maiden name, which no one knows how to pronounce her last name. And they pronounced it perfectly. So, and it's funny because he accidentally said the wrong birth year at one moment. And he goes, he said that I reincarnated in 1999, but I reincarnated in 1987. And so as he was talking, they go, correcting this instrument, because he is essentially an instrument that they are using to speak through. And so he's like, correction, this entity reincarnated in 1987. And he sounds like a robot when he talks, because he's channeling the other beings, but it's so cool. Like, you guys should definitely go. And no, he has an email at the end of his YouTube videos. He says, if you want a past life reading, email me here. It's like samtheillusionist1@gmail. I don't know the exact email. I have to hi friend, so you guys, I have to tell you guys his email. So I don't know, what is your TikTok alias name, or are you using your name?
Honestly, at this point, I use both. I just haven't really shared my name with anybody on here except you. So okay. I guess this will be the first time.
He just charges whatever you can donate. So he just takes donations. So whatever you can afford. Did you end up emailing Sam for a reading?
Yes, actually I did.
Okay.
That reminds me. Let me actually see if he responded, because I haven't checked.
I emailed him today, but I haven't heard back. I don't know what time it is in India, so.
I think they're probably, at least 15 hours ahead or something. I know they're ahead of us.
No
in time.
Yeah. He doesn't do it through video calls. You just submit your full name and your birthday, and then he puts himself under like a meditation hypnosis state, and they come and talk through him, and then he will record the session and send you a direct private link through YouTube. Mine was like 8 minutes long, and then you ask, you send your name, your birthday, and 3 questions, and then he will channel them and then send you the direct link so you can have it. So it's really cool. So this is Whitney, and she's the one I was telling you guys about, that she posted the video about Disney and her whole account got taken down. But she did get her account back up, so she won her appeal.
Thankfully.
Yeah. So we wanted to just come on here and answer a few questions, because she knows so much. She has like so much. We literally talked forever last night, because she was able to answer so many questions that a lot of you guys had. So if you guys have any questions literally about anything, ask her. She knows it all. Like, she's like an encyclopedia of information. I was like, what do you know about this? What do you know about that? She literally knows everything. So I was like, you know what? We need to go live because a lot of people need to know about your, your account, even though your account right now isn't, it's literally more for like the trafficking stuff. But we do, we can change it a little right now to talk about whatever, all the questions you guys have. So, let's see. Some people had questions on, okay, so I posted the video today about Eisenhower signing the treaty with the aliens. Okay. So, okay, so we said Disney. Yes, they are. Okay, so Eisenhower signed the treaty with the aliens in like 1950s, and people are saying, "Well, I didn't consent." Now, last night we were talking, and you said, before that they were abducting people without the consent, essentially, because they hadn't signed the treaty yet. So, what made them switch to like have to get this signature to make it okay to start abducting people for their experimenting?
Okay. So the breakdown is that prior to the treaty, all these numbers and statistics I'm using, I'm just making up to give you a perspective, to give you an idea, an analogy to help you really understand. So prior to the treaty, we'll say that 1% of the alien species that were visiting Earth were harvesting people. So the way that consciousness and consent works, it's not just verbal or what you're thinking. It ties into your super consciousness, which is the collective consciousness that we all visit when we sleep, our conscious self, and our subconscious self, where our ego resides and protects us. So when we would be confronted by these alien species, this 1% that would be hunting humans on their own time, basically, so to speak, if they were to encounter a human, if you don't have the knowledge of the universe that we are one, and you have to consent, and you give feelings also, you give consent also through your feelings, that's how they would get us.
Okay.
So you run into a reptilian, you feel terrified, and because you feel terrified, you're consenting and saying, this being has power over my consciousness, and they have the ability to take my consciousness.
Yeah. So that, yeah, I guess I should make a video on that because a lot of people didn't know how did we consent if we didn't really consent. But like you said, like fear is essentially giving consent because we're saying that
we're feeding into it.
Yeah, we're feeding into it, and it's overpowering our ability to, like, not pay attention,
protect ourselves
and protect ourselves.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like with everything that's been illegal in history. As soon as it's made public, everybody can reap the benefit. So by making the treaty, they basically said, hey, we want to do this out in the open, but they didn't tell Eisenhower, hey, we've been doing this behind your back, we just want to do it on legal terms in good standing. So essentially what happened, instead of just 1% of the alien population harvesting people, they wanted 100% to have the ability and access to the supply and demand. And so it's like prohibition and marijuana, everything. It's just a matter of...
Why do you think that came into play at that time in the 50s? Like, why did the treaty have to be signed in that moment?
So it opened the door not only for the forces that harvest humans, it also opened the door for the forces that wish human harvesting would stop. So when we opened that door and we made that agreement, we agreed to the duality of it, like both extremes of it. So yes, they can harvest people, but they're also giving us alien technology in exchange, which allows us to leap ahead generations and skip so much time in terms of human evolution. So, but what it also allows the good forces, or whatever you consider good, to come in and fight on our behalf against these forces.
Do you think that when they presented the treaty, yeah, I'll also upload this on YouTube and my podcast as well. Although lately when I've been uploading my lives onto my podcast, it's had a little bit of static feedback, which I didn't have before. So I find that interesting, but I also have had issues with people being able to share my page, share my links to my videos. They can't share it on Instagram. They've tried sharing it. Like, so many people have been telling me this. So they're definitely paying attention, you know?
Can I actually share a really quick story?
Yeah.
Because I just had confirmation of that.
Yeah.
So, with my original account, that was Aura Diosa, and it wasn't a 0, it was just an O. What had actually happened was the reason my account blew up, and I had only posted one video, I completely logged out, forgot it existed. And then when I logged in, like over a ridiculous amount of people had seen it. And basically I said, hey, when Instagram changed its terms and conditions, this was like almost 2 years ago, they basically said, we have the right to monitor everything and anything via your phone. Mm-hmm. We also didn't clearly state when we are utilizing your camera and microphone. And also everything and anything you post on Instagram, they own the copyrights too. Yeah. Because by posting it on there, you're consenting and giving them rights and copyrights to your stuff. So it no longer becomes your stuff. Right. So after I went viral and over 1 million people agreed and said, hey, this is how communism comes in. This is how dictatorships come in. This is how censorship comes in. As soon as that happened, everybody was flooding the comments, over like thousands of people saying, why isn't this letting me share it to Instagram? I can't share to Facebook. And all the extra features on my video were shut off except the save feature and the share, like the copy link. Well, they took everything else was blocked off. Even though on my settings, when I went to my creator settings, it said everything was on. Oh yeah. Duet, stitch, everything. Yeah. They turned my options off as well. People can't repost my videos even though my options are turned off. They also turned off they deleted all my favorites. So I had videos saved on my favorites. Usually I download them to my phone, but sometimes I will also hit the save button as a favorite. They took away that option for me. I don't have favorite videos anymore. And I made a video about it and I was like, does anybody know where the favorite videos are? And everyone's showing me where they have it. I don't have the option anymore. And the videos that I had saved were all about manifestation and were all about like things that would help you uplift and grow and everything. That's all that was saved. And they deleted all this positive. Yeah, everything was about positive. Yeah, and they deleted all of them. And now I don't have access to those videos. Thank God I mostly save all of them. But I would have some on saved just because I like to replay them like on the way to work and stuff because they were like positive affirmations and they were just easy access and they deleted all of them. I don't have access to them anymore and now I can't save videos to favorites. They took away that option for me. And like I tell people this shit's happening and they're like, well, it's not happening to me. And I'm like, yeah, because you're not a content creator who's trying to expose the truth. Of course they're not doing it to you. They're doing it to you're not making any noise. Yeah, exactly. So I did have a couple of people. I don't know. Yeah, it's Sam the Illusionist. Can you read my comments or no? Can you only see your own stuff? I can only see my stuff. Is there a way for me to see your comments? No, we would have to like do it as a guest request instead of a co-host, which is why I usually but that's okay. I'll read you what people are saying. There's 2 things that people want us to talk about. One said crystal skulls and another one asked about reality shifting. So which one would you like to talk about first? Let's go with reality shifting. Okay. Because I'm more familiar with that one. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I don't really know anything about the crystal skulls. I just know that they were left here to remind us that we've been here before. Just like Atlantis and the pyramids and the Stonehenge, all of that was like indication that we've been here before. But so without diving into crystal skulls, you can think of a crystal skull as a permanent physical presence of collective consciousness that can be tapped into. So like a vault, so to speak, or a library or a hard drive. Mm-hmm. It's a huge topic. So I guess reality shifting. Like, is there any specific questions or just like general, like they just say thoughts on reality shifting? Like, I think a lot of people have asked me to talk about it and it's like, yeah, I feel like I've talked about it, but I guess people just aren't getting the concept and like, how does it happen? And how do you know you've reality shifted maybe? And I think a lot of people reality shift without even knowing they've reality shifted. Yeah.
Like that's kind of what happened to me. Like I didn't know I had shifted until I realized I had shifted. So I think people want to know, I think some people want to know how they can shift realities too.
Okay. So I guess where I would want to start with reality shifting, and people might not want to hear this, but it's like fundamentals. I guess the first question to really start shifting, if you want to come at it from a human society perspective, is can you imagine images in your mind? Do
Like if
you
you have
have
an
the
imagination.
yeah, like everybody has an imagination, but the word is slipping my mind right now, but people can create essentially visual movies in their mind that they can go in their mind and watch.
Right.
And not everyone has evolved to that level of consciousness where they can do that.
Right.
So not everyone hears their voice or
Yeah.
their higher consciousness in their head.
Yeah.
For some people that voice is silenced because they haven't grown or ascended to that level yet.
Yeah.
So
Somebody
I
said
guess
it's called, visualization, and if you can hear your inner dialogue, which there's some people who can't hear their inner dialogue, which is interesting.
yeah, if you don't have an inner dialogue, it's either most likely you're a young soul or you're an NPC,
Right. Yeah.
non-playable character.
Yeah. So first
So
step is visualizing.
visualizing, and really, if you cut all of the other stuff about shifting aside, really what it comes down to is feelings. The visualization is like painting your target or like setting your aim. But shooting, like actually activating, is all feeling. And when you use words to like manifest, you're directing those feelings more specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to shift and you want to change any aspect of your life, like you want to change your face or you want to change your relationship with somebody, you need to understand that we are one. Everything is an extension of yourself. And this is us experiencing being an individual self and not just a grain of sand on the beach of existence.
Mm-hmm.
So once you realize everything is connected and everything is tied together, the universe wants what you want. So whatever you're feeling, the universe does not understand our languages, our words. It's just going to respond to feelings. Words are just used for us to anchor in and really steer the ship more directly. So when we look at our appearance, and it's like when we were growing up as kids, and people tell one kid, "Oh, you're so beautiful," and they keep growing and they get more beautiful and more beautiful. And you notice that the kid who gets told that they're ugly and the kid who actually believes they're ugly progressively gets uglier.
Yeah,
And
it's
uglier.
like the rice experiment, which I've been telling people to look up. Look up the rice experiment because our body is 70% water. So I think 60%, 60 to 70% water. So it's literally like if you say to a jar of rice and water, "You're beautiful, I love you," it will flourish. Whereas like, "I hate you, you're ugly," it turns into mold. It's the same thing that happens to us. Like it will manifest itself physically in our bodies if we say negative things to it.
Exactly.
The
Your
brain is,
subconscious
yeah.
is always recording and it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't know what a joke is. So when people joke around and say, "Oh, I am so," well, like you're literally like your body's like, "Oh, okay, so we're gonna decompose now. We're gonna start aging. Like that's what we're gonna start doing."
Yeah.
They take you, so your body takes you literally and just starts trying to match your physical body to what it is you're believing and saying.
Yeah, which is another issue with the English language because it's like all like a lot of our words are spells.
Oh yeah,
So,
the English language was designed as a trap. So a lot of the words are opposite. So like the words that we use that sound good and positive actually have damning connotations.
mm-hmm.
Like we say we're awake in the morning, but wake is where you go to visit and grieve a dead person.
Right. Same with like good morning. You're morning.
Good. You're mourning somebody, like,
Yeah.
who died.
Yeah. And people also say that like the happy birthday song is like a spell, like to make you age every year.
Exactly. I mean, the fact that a bunch of people are gathering up in a circle, lighting up some candles, all chanting the same song
Mm.
should be a little, I mean, woo, like it like kind of a red flag for the people who are like super hardcore religious. Like, come on. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
but I guess, you know, again, the wool behind, like, in
Yeah.
front of our
And it's
eyes.
hard because we've been taught this language that we didn't dissect into how it has a double meaning. These words have double meanings. And so when you start really thinking about the words that you say, you're like, how do I even change my vocabulary to not say good morning when it sounds like a good thing? Like you could say like good day, or I don't know, like how do you even start off changing your vocabulary? Oh, somebody's saying grand rising.
Grand Rising is what I was
Rising.
about to say.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to see
It's
it.
like
It's
things that you like don't even think about, that now you have to start changing everything that you say, every word, because I don't even think about the words that I'm saying and how they can have a double meaning. Like I literally was
exactly.
like, "Oh my god, that's so funny. I'm dead," and you're like, "You don't, It's like it became a trend, and it's a slip of the tongue that you don't even realize that you're saying it.
Yeah, and that's the way that they designed the English language, the same way that neighborhoods were designed, or I should say, poor neighborhoods were designed with liquor stores on every corner. It's a system enabled to set you up for failure,
Yeah.
to
Oh yeah.
be used.
Yeah, and people are saying I'm healing instead of I'm sick. Last night her and I were talking and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm always so tired." And she's like, "No, you're not. You're full of energy. You're not going to say that about yourself. You're not going to say you're always tired." And I do always say I'm always tired, and so I'm always tired. So I'm like, I have to stop saying that.
So this is why I've been able to, like, literally live the past year of my life with bare minimum sleep compared to the human standard. And the way that it works is that your subconscious is fulfilling your conscious mind's orders as you go out through your day. So when people say, I'm going to have a great day at work, they proceed to have a great day. And the people who say, I'm going to have a terrible day at work, they proceed to have a terrible day at work.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens when you say, I am tired? When you say I am is a permanent present state. But when you say I am feeling tired, your subconscious knows, oh, feeling. That's like 10 to 15 seconds and then it leaves. We don't have to make that a permanent thing. So when you say I am always blank blank, what your body and nervous system does is it starts slowing down your breathing to induce you into a sleep state,
Mm-hmm.
because it's trying to do what you want it. Like, it's
Right.
like, oh, you're saying that we're tired? All right, we're going to slow our breathing down and go to sleep because
No,
you're
it's
saying
so
it.
true. I'll be at work and I'm like, I get up and I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. I don't want to go to work today. And the whole time I'm thinking, like, I'm just so tired. And then I yawn like every 10 minutes. And like, literally, the busser's like, you tired today? I was like, Miguel, I'm always tired. I'm just always tired. And I'll just yawn the whole day. And it's like, well, I'm telling my brain that I'm tired. So I'm just going to keep continuing to be quiet. I mean, quiet, to be
Yes.
tired.
So that's the major one, is the whole concept of casting spells over yourself. The second one is accepting spells from the people around you. So when your bus driver says, "Oh, you're tired," your subconscious is listening and waiting to see how you're going to answer. So when you say yes, your subconscious is like, "Okay, we're consenting to that spell."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've got a question
Yeah.
here. Let me see. Have y'all ever seen people talk about shifting to places and actually being able to experience these places? We talked about this last night too.
Like, well, okay, so go ahead. Because I'm like,
No.
do you mean like in the time traveling sense or in the or entering alternate reality sense?
Yeah, so
And
let me, that's a
being,
good question.
yeah, and then being in like the you know, because you can mentally take yourself somewhere else. You can astral project. You can take yourself to other places mentally.
So like the question would be like, if I'm understanding it correctly, is can you go take your consciousness and physically experience to another place, experience it, and then come back?
Yeah,
So
and I
like
think
astral
I mean
projecting, but not astral projecting because it's your actual consciousness.
right. So like I've astral projected and I haven't been physically in that place. I have just seen it. I can visualize everything. It's like, yes, my consciousness took me there, but my physical body was still here, right? But I believe that I think you told me a story where you physically saw it in the present, your whole body in the moment.
Yes. So I personally experienced this after a near death experience, and I was in the hospital. And I was hooked up, and I was staring at my hands and the IV, and I was just overwhelmed with this feeling like anywhere but here, anywhere but here. This can't be happening. I want to be anywhere but here. And it felt kind of similar to like astral projecting, like my vision went black for a second, except then I was actually physically in this body, and I was in a hospital, but it was the future, and I had long white hair like down to my hip. My hands were all wrinkled and old, like I had been in that hospital for like decades, and I felt everything. Like I like picked up my hand and it was like shaking, like I could feel the years on my body. And then I freaked out and I was like, no, this is not where, this is not here, not here, this is not where I want to be. And I literally felt sucked back. And then I was back in my reality. But I physically felt everything. It's not like in your dreams where you think that you're enjoying food or you think you're like
Right.
touching something.
It's crazy because like I haven't personally felt that, but I know that like you were essentially born awake. Like you knew you were awake 100%, whereas like my subconscious knew that I was awake, but my 3D self didn't know I was awake, so it took me a minute to realize it. But my soul remembered it in a way. It's such a weird thing to talk about when people, the duality of it all, when people don't get it. So I think that, you know, you've been able to experience things that I haven't just because of where your soul level is at, and how many like lifetimes you've reincarnated. Because you said you've reincarnated like since what, 90,000 years ago, I think.
Yeah. My higher self and my guides let me know that I've been reincarnating on Earth for the past 90,000 years.
That's a long time.
But that's not how old I am.
Yeah.
That's just how long I've been coming to Earth and volunteering to
Do this again.
yeah.
We just keep coming back. They say that like we come back because we get bored in our souls get bored in the other planets, because it's like, you know, we're that's definitely, I feel like, the human side of us where we're like, well, I'm bored here, let's go create some drama somewhere else, you know. And then we put
I
ourselves
want
in
to be the hero. I want to be the villain.
yeah. Yeah, it's so crazy. So somebody asked, how do I know I've shifted? How can I tell if I've shifted? So now this is like a different type of shifting. So whereas you shifted, like you essentially time traveled in that moment, you time traveled to the future. You said anywhere but here, you casted essentially that spell on yourself. You jumped forward a timeline to see, this is where you're going to end up, you know, if you follow
in my current trajectory, like on the path that I was on the moment.
Exactly. Now with shifting timelines, whereas the way that I shifted timelines was like in 2020 where I shifted. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, I was just saying bye to a follower. Thank you.
Oh.
Sorry.
Where I shifted timelines, it was like, I think the shifting that happened to a lot of people in 2020 to now, and is still happening to people, the way that you start realizing, and they took my video down showing the signs of shifting, which for nudity and sexual activity, which there was no nudity in it, and I was showing another user's video. So they took down my video for sharing another user's video who is still up. So the video was saying like, what are the signs of shifting, and a lot of them were what, you know, you have the awakening, you have the
Dark night of the soul.
dark night of the soul. You start having your thirst for knowledge. You start wanting to know what your purpose is. You go through the no alcohol, no sex phase. You know, and you just start really like connecting with yourself. You start healing your inner child. You start like you just see the world in such a different perspective than you did before. So like for me, it happened when I was at my lowest, when I was like, I hate this planet. I don't want to be here. I just want this life to be over with. And I feel like my higher consciousness self was like, all right, you've been through enough. Like, let's just wake you up now so you can remember that like it's really not this bad. You've just fallen into a really deep sleep. And so, you know, my higher consciousness self woke me up, and that's when I started going through the shifting. Now, the physical, besides the stuff I mentioned, ringing in the ears, oh my God, the migraines that I was getting, I started getting them in 2017, and that's when my Saturn returned. So I think that's when the shift initially started happening, but it really hit me in 2020. I would get a lot of migraines, the ringing in the ears. You just start feeling different. Like my body kind of changed a bit. Your hair, or my hair got a little different. And for me, they were subtle changes where people want to see photos of how I looked like before. I look the same to you guys. To me, I see the changes. There are people that went through huge changes. There are people who literally like look at old photos and don't recognize who that person is. Completely different person now. So a lot of people went through real physical changes. And then you just start really questioning everything. You start dismantling the system. You start realizing that it's all made up. You've been lied to about everything. You start really, you know, researching everything, wanting to find things out for yourself, not the propaganda that they have told you your whole life.
The programming.
And you can also, you know,
treating us like computers to be used.
Yeah, you start realizing that like the system was made to make us fail and to keep us in a sleep state. You know, they don't want you to pursue what you're passionate about as a child unless that's a career that has to do with money and success instead of...
Free minds don't want to work for a living because free minds know that life is free.
Yeah,
as it should be.
As it should be. We shouldn't have to be paying to live. Like this is our planet. Like we should just live. We shouldn't have to be... the whole concept of money is just such bullshit. So, you know, you do that a lot, you'll lose a lot of people in your life because you realize that like they're just not on the same level as you. And it's not that you think you're better than them. It's just that your soul doesn't connect with them anymore. You've essentially gone into a different level, and you start finding people who you connect with on a soul level. So like Whitney and I connect on a soul level. Like we just understand what each other is saying, and it's like we don't have it. Literally, it feels like we've known each other.
Instant communication.
Yeah, and like
the Mercury and Gemini.
Our birthdays are 4 days apart. We're both Taurus Gemini cusps, and it's so crazy because the eclipse is coming, and people are saying that there's like something big happening with the Taurus eclipse, and like shit's about to go down. And I'm like, hell yeah, we're here to fuck shit up for sure.
It's a stampede. It's literally a stampede, and Aries season has been lighting the fire under this Taurus stampede, these generations of Tauruses that are coming out as light workers and dark workers.
Yeah, didn't you mention that last night? There was something going on with Taurus. What was it that you said? Taurus gate? You said something last night.
So, in one of my dreams, we'll say dreams, I had actually met with a version of my father from a previous life. So where we were, I saw him physically as my father, but I knew it was a different lifetime. It was more like a memory, so to speak. And he was explaining to me that him as a Taurus and me as a Gemini Taurus, that we were put exactly where we were in the US for a specific reason, and that our purpose ties in with the Taurus Stargate. So every Taurisian, if that's how you say it, is going to be pulled and tied to this Stargate because it's a portal. It's a part of us.
Yeah. So
I'm still remembering what our connection is to that Stargate, but essentially, from my understanding, they've been in control of it for a long time, and it's about to fall under our control.
Yeah,
our protection.
It's crazy because they say, like, once you go through your awakening process, you're gonna start finding a lot of people that have like your same birthday and name. And it's crazy because I keep running into people named Alex, and I keep running into Tauruses, and I've like never seen so many Taurus in my life on TikTok, and all my followers are like, I'm a Taurus, I'm a Taurus, I'm a Taurus. I'm like, what the hell's going on? This is so weird. So my birthday is May 20th and Whitney's birthday is May 24th. So I am a Taurus Gemini cusp. I'm on the last day, and she's essentially a Gemini Taurus cusp. She falls on Gemini. Of course, depending on what kind of like the astrological signs that you're looking at, just because now we have 13 signs actually. So then that's,
I have all these Tauruses in my comments.
Like, same here. Everybody's commenting, I'm a Taurus, I'm a Taurus, I'm a Taurus. What's going on? I'm telling you, it's our time, man. Really
quick. Sorry, I just wanted to answer this quick question. How do you connect with your spiritual self if meditation feels blocked? Go out into nature and be one with everything outside of you. And once you start feeling comfortable and safe and one with nature, it makes it easier to sit in meditation and go within. Okay, sorry. Yeah. But Taurus.
So crazy. There's so much. So I don't know what's about to go down, this next month, but shit's about to go down, so it's gonna be exciting.
In the best of ways. Like, we're literally living through history, and it's great.
I know. Like, what a time to be alive. And I think that's a part of the shift, is realizing that, like, you go from feeling like every day is doomsday and you have nothing to live for, to being excited to wake up every day and be like, what is today going to bring me? Like, what is the adventure for today?
It's just so funny because they give us so much time to think about doomsday that they don't really like tell us, hey, like, utopia. And growing up as a kid, everyone always told me utopia is impossible. It's not possible. People will always have war. They'll always fight. And I was always like, why?
Yeah, why?
Why? I don't think people enjoy dying. And yeah. I know that the people who do the primary killing are scared of dying, and that's why they do killing. So, I mean, if we could just take it off the board, what's so crazy about that?
Yeah.
Like, and it's possible and it's easy. We literally have to look at democracy, republic, communism, socialism. Look at everything and take the best pieces and functional parts and create this new beautiful system that is abundant and self-sustaining.
I say this all the time. Because my content before was about crumbling capitalism, and literally my headline on my bio was crumble capitalism. And people would be like, what do you want to be, a socialist? Do you want to be a communist? Like, what do you want if you don't want capitalism? And I said, I
just don't want to be under an empirical capitalist system that is an empire dictatorship.
Right, yeah, I was like, this is dictatorship. This is not capitalism. This is like feudalism at this point. I'm like, we're going back in time. We're not making progress. We're going backwards.
They're tricking us to go back into colonialism.
Exactly. And then people would just be like, but like, what do you want to do? I'm like, do you people realize that before these systems came around, they didn't exist? So do you realize that we can take pieces from every system, the ones that work, and create a new system? And they're like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, why not? Like, you act like your 50 years of life is the only 50 years that ever existed. This has been around for so long before you, and it'll be around after you. We can change things. We don't have to just accept the shit we've been put in. And people just think like, nope, that's it. This is it. We can't do anything about it.
No, and that's the thing that people don't understand. And this is something that just got, like, my higher self just yelled at me. we are shifting all the time. Even as we're speaking, we're shifting all the time. So through our choices, our thoughts, and our feelings and our beliefs, you and I can exist in the exact same reality right next to each other, but there's a superimposed reality on top of that that affects our perception. So it's two realities on top of another where we can physically see each other, but we physically hear and see different things from
Yes,
what the
like
other is
you
saying.
sent me a video today, and I said, "Why does it sound like it's saying Alex 3 times at the beginning?" And you were like, "Oh my God, I didn't notice till you pointed it out." And
And then
you said to everyone else, it's saying what?
hours, because
Hours.
it's like 12 hours, like it's supposed to be a countdown
Okay,
till it starts.
so apparently what it said was hours, but I kept hearing Alex, 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 and I was like, "Why is it saying Alex?" And I listened to it, no joke, like 5 times. And then you were like, it's saying hours, but like obviously to you, that's your perception. Like that's what you heard. And it's funny because last night we said that. I said, people hear what they are meant to hear or what they want to hear. Because there's times where I will say things on my videos and people comment, "Oh, so you like Trump?" And I'm like, I never
What?
once mentioned Trump in my video. Like, it's interesting that
Like,
that's what you
did you
heard.
hear something? Did you hear me say something physically different? Like,
Yeah,
I
and
don't
not saying
understand.
that I like Trump or don't like Trump. It's just, that's just an example. It's just saying people will say they heard something that was never said in the video. Like Trump's name wasn't even mentioned. So like, where did you come with this conclusion? So like, people just hear what they want to hear. It's just so crazy. I'm just like, I'm so confused where you came to that conclusion. Like, where did the connection come from? So, people want us to talk about aliens. Something that I think needs to be addressed, which I haven't made a video about because I don't know if they're gonna ban me for it, is uh, the and I don't know where the whole reptilians started, which people want to say it's rooted in anti-Semitism, but we need to talk and break that because that's not true, and that is all propaganda as well.
So we'll explore every aspect, like theory, speculation, and actual truth and reality.
Yeah.
Really quick, I just want to answer a question. Somebody asked my exact birth date, May 24th. I'm going to tell you the year just because I don't care. They've tried stealing my social security and they can't because it's mine. But 1994. And how do you know if you're a light worker? Light workers have an overwhelming sense of wanting to balance and transmute. Like you'll often as a light worker, you'll find yourself in contrast to what society's collective goal is.
Yeah.
And just you'll find a calling, like it's whether it's helping children or bringing knowledge or teaching people how to cultivate the land. You'll feel a very specific calling to involve yourself with others for a specific reason, whether it's to protect them from something, teach them something, or show them the way.
Yeah.
But
Like my timeline, I chose to be at service of others. I'm not surprised that's what I chose because
no,
I'm always, helping others. And the fact that I've been a server for 17 years, it definitely makes sense that I chose this timeline to be following service to others is my mission in this lifetime. Or in, I guess, I don't know if it shifts after I hit the fourth density. But it's been to learn service to others through all the densities so far.
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's all a matter. It really comes down to cycles. So like in terms of reptilians, like people wonder how did the reptilians, like it's really not that hard of a concept. So the way that it was taught and explained to me and I experienced it was that every form of consciousness will evolve into a humanoid like form. Basically, so ants eventually, like there's alien ants, or there's mantis, there's reptilian, there's lions. Like the end evolution or consciousness is a humanoid form. So every single organic thing in our reality, if if it's allowed to go on its course, it will reach that level of ascension. If that consciousness chooses to reach that level.
Yeah, because according to my past life reading by Sam the Illusionist, he's on YouTube if you guys want to book him. Um, he said that in the first density, I was the element of water. And like I was supposed to learn something through every density and through every form that I came back in. So like, you know, I obviously had to learn something with water. And then I came in as a stone, which reminds me of Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't think you've seen it yet, but when you see it,
No, I can't wait to watch it this weekend.
so good. So I was a stone, and then I was in the plant form, and then I was an animal. And it's interesting. I wish I knew what animal I was, but it's interesting because I had a coworker who did ayahuasca, and I asked her how her ayahuasca trip was, and she said I was a spider, and I was stuck as a spider. Like that's, and I was like, was it scary? And she's like, no, it felt really comfortable, but I was stuck as a spider for a really long time in a spider web, and I could just see everything as a spider. So it makes me think, like, was she a spider? Like probably in her, second density, you know?
And that's where the whole concept of spiritual symbolism and the universe communicating with things that are familiar or sentimental to you, it doesn't have to necessarily be something that an experience you had in this lifetime. Like for me, my abuelita, my grandmother, comes to me in the form of a dove. So whenever I see a single dove just randomly in a city that doesn't have really birds, like even those kinds of birds, I know. And different there's different ways. So like for me, another one was Black Widow. I never really thought about Black Widows. I never had a bad experience with them. I just knew they were dangerous. And one day in my house, I found 3 different nests within my home. So at that point, I was looking up the spiritual symbolism, and it reminded me of where I had been the year before. And basically, as a warning, saying, hey, you're about to go into that cycle. We're here to warn you. Like, this is where you are currently. This is a physical manifestation in your environment to show you, like, hey, it's like, warning, warning, do you want to continue? And, at that point, I was having relationship issues, and we could have fallen apart after 12 years, but we grew stronger than ever. And we crushed that cycle.
Yeah, that's so.
So it's like, so to think that I may have been a Black Widow in a past life, and I like ate a bunch of my significant others, and I was like, I'm tired of that. I don't want to do that.
Oh my gosh.
We've been there. We've done that. Let's experience the other thing.
Yeah, exactly. Um, let's see. Okay, so let's talk about reptilians. Now, reptilians, you said that there are good and bad.
Yes, really quick. Yes, you can wake people up with Bud. Bud fucks with system programming, just so you know. I'm not promoting the use of drugs. I do not promote the use of drugs. Please seek medical professionals. Okay. Reptilians, good and bad. So I'm sorry, what was the question? Like, or
Oh yeah, so you're saying
what's the
good and
concept?
bad, and then like where? Okay, so according to Mayan history, like reptilians came down in like a spaceship from the sky kind of thing. They taught the Mayans how to build the pyramids, and they called them iguana men or iguana people. And then that they supposedly are what we think that dinosaurs were, because like they apparently that's what dinosaurs were then.
Yeah, so from my memory and my genetic ancestry, people fault like anybody watching this. I know I don't look it, but I'm half Mexican. My mom's from Mexico. She got her citizenship. Spanish was my first language. I have Aztec ancestry, and so like your DNA is essentially like a long chain of memories, and you're able to access all the way back to the beginning. So the reptilians that approached the Aztecs, the Olmecs, the Mayans, those were the reptilians, the dinosaurs that evolved millions and millions of years ago into humanoid forms. And when the asteroid hit the Gulf of Mexico and knocked the Earth off its axis, what happened was they went underground and they came back after balance was restored to the outer world. And they saw men and they saw them, hey, we can use them. They're smart. They have potential. So there's reptilians that are indigenous to this earth that have dwelled within it. And then there's reptilians that come from other star systems that
and
want to colonize.
And the ones that they think came from asteroids is essentially just like from a UFO, right?
I'm
Like
sorry,
the
say that again?
meteors. I think you were saying how like there's reptilians that came from asteroids or meteors or whatever, but it's actually just UFOs.
Yeah, so when people think of the asteroid that hit the Gulf of Mexico, that was actually a Death Star, or their equivalent of it. A death planet that is a craft used to conquer other planets. So what happened was it was shot out of the sky, it bounced off of Earth, and that's when the Earth was thrown off of its axis. So I don't know if you've heard where, like when they talk about the pyramids and everything, they had technology that allowed them to levitate and do all sorts of insane things. But when the Earth got thrown off its axis, they weren't calibrated to that new Earth. So all their stuff didn't work and they had to resort to manual labor, which is why they picked our ancestors and genetically modified them with their own DNA to be able to cultivate and mine for gold and other resources here on Earth.
Someone said, "How do you know all this?"
I'm not lifting terminology from Star Wars. There's actually truth in Star Wars. And why and how I'm able to know things like this is that everything that's fictional, everything that's art, is inspired by reality.
I tell people that all the time.
There's nothing new under the sun. When people create TV shows and movies and animes and cartoons, a lot of them are peering into other realities and creating transcripts to other worlds. And we're just seeing it as entertainment, and they think that they came up with an idea when they're actually viewing other parts of themselves.
Yeah, and a lot of them are higher density beings, so they have, and because they know all of this and the essentially the truth, they have easier access at being able to channel their higher self or other dimensions to be able to, see that stuff that we don't see because their third eye is open, whereas ours is not. Yeah, but people wanted to know like where else they can learn more stuff about this. I have no idea because like I told you, everything just gets downloaded to me. So like if you have any recommendations for them.
Yes, I do. So what actually put me on this path was probably almost over 12 years ago. So everyone, all you have to look up is the Terra Papers. So Terra Papers by Robert Morningsky. So Robert Morningsky is like the great grandson of an indigenous man who, with a group of other people from his community, encountered a surviving Pleiadian craft that crash landed in Arizona. And what happened was this Pleiadian had a crystal. And with this crystal, he was able to project a holograph. And he detailed and explained the creation of the universe, the creation of man, what their intention was, what all the Egyptian truth that ties in, where the etymology, where the words come from, and where the meaning of everything comes from. Like they break down, he broke down everything. And as soon as I found this over 12 years ago, when your heart space is open, your third eye is automatically shot open. So whenever you find the truth, it resonates with you, and you get chills, it reverberates, it feels like it's echoing through you. Like your higher self will tell you, yes, yes, this.
Yeah. People are asking, like, how can I open my third eye?
So misconception, a lot of people actually have their third eye open. It's just been blinded, or so to speak, they have crap in it, for lack of better terms. So if you want to work on that, I mean, you can do physical, mental, or spiritual stuff. So, like, spiritual would be meditation and focusing. If you feel blocked, imagining and feeling that block being removed. And then mentally would be like speaking and speaking affirmations over yourself. And physically, what you could do is you could actually take a candle and do a candlelight meditation where you have a candle in front of you, you close your eyes, and then you focus on the flame with your eyes closed. And that helps you see and basically retune or recalibrate your third eye.
Would you say,
Because we can actually all see with our eyes closed. We can see through our third eye. It's just we wouldn't be perceiving it the same way. You wouldn't see all the color the way that you see the color.
mm-hmm.
Like, you can shift lenses on your third eye, so you could see thermal, you could see, like, it's next level.
Do you think that's like the same thing they can do? Somebody commented, how can I seeing like evil things? And they had commented on my video earlier about dreams, and they were like, how can I stop seeing demons in my dreams? And I've never had that issue, so I don't know what to say.
I can tell you exactly, because about 2.5 years ago, before I started my journey on TikTok, I actually I came under attack. People would call it sleep paralysis. Some people would call it possession. Basically, an entity or multiple entities trying to take the steering wheel from you. And that's basically what seeing these things in your dreams is. So when you're in that dream, you are the absolute controller of your dream. They are just tricking you into thinking you're powerless. And when they can have you feeling powerless in your dreams, and they have you believing you're powerless in your dreams, you become powerless in your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have the ability to physically take you over. And then when you wake up, you're not driving the car. Like the movie Split, you're taking a back seat while Linda is doing her thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the first part is, for me, what I experienced was they tried to terrify me. They did anything and everything and showed me everything in my dreams, from like zombie apocalypse to seeing my parents rot and boil up in acid in front of me. Anything and everything you can think of that's absolutely horrible and you've seen in a horror movie, they've done to me in my dreams. So at that point, I was at my lowest point, and I had these entities all, like, as soon as you pay attention to them and you see them, by acknowledging them, you're giving them permission to exist in your space. Number one. So because I was in a neutral state and I wasn't in a positive love state, they had the ability to come at me and try to scare me. Because if I was in a love state, I wouldn't be able to acknowledge them. I wouldn't even see them unless I was trying to see them, feel them, or help them. So the biggest thing that I had to do was acknowledge that these demons were extensions of me. And these were neglected parts of me. It was like pieces of my survival instinct, my ego, that were like wounds in my subconscious that were just trying to grab the steering wheel out of fear. So they were like trying to scare me to say, hey, like, let me take the wheel. I'll make things better. Like, I'll go in the physical world. I'll do the physical stuff. And they would have just fucked me up mentally and spiritually. But I would have been like, on Hollywood type of shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So once I looked at them, they tried to suffocate me and terrify me, and they got on top of me, and the first thing I thought was God, and they laughed at me. They laughed. They literally said, "Where is your God now?" And after that, like, it felt like thousands of pounds. Like, I couldn't even speak, I couldn't even breathe, like. And I said, I went to Jesus, and when I said Jesus, they were unbothered, like indifferent. But as soon as I said Christ, all of a sudden, like fucking light exploded out of my heart and pushed them away, and it like basically disintegrated them, and I was able to love them and take that and heal it and put it back as it was meant to be within me. Because a lot of the demons are just trauma or generational trauma that's just been untreated, and we call it a demon, but it's just a hurt part of ourselves that helped us survive, and now that we've survived, we're throwing it away. And I know that might be conflicting to like religious people, but it's really like, if you can love those demons, they will leave you the fuck alone, because they cannot stand it. If they're trying to feed off your fear, and that's, or if it's an outward entity, it's not a piece of you or within you. That's all it is. Like,
Yeah. I wonder why
they're just.
I haven't.
Huh?
I mean, maybe I haven't had an experience like that because, yeah, I didn't give it life. Maybe I have seen something like that and I just ignored it, and so they didn't have access to me.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said that they hold on, what did they say? They see you.
Oh yeah.
They
But I was
see
gonna say too.
water and fire in their dreams. They want to know if that.
So, water and fire are the spiritual purifiers and portals. So, like in the zodiac, the water element is the spiritual non-physical, and fire is the physical spiritual. So to dream of fire and water symbolizes purification, rebirth, cycle changing in cycles. But it really just depends on what's going on in your life and what emotions and feelings and memories those dreams evoke in you. But like basic fire and water.
Something else I wanted to ask about was, people want me to talk about sleep paralysis, but I haven't personally experienced sleep paralysis. I've heard of it and I've heard the stories of it. I'm like, I don't really know what people want me to talk about. Like, why does it happen? Maybe.
Sorry, you were breaking, or it was like acting weird. Can you say it again?
People were asking about sleep paralysis, but I've never personally experienced it.
So it's like the stage between your conscious shifting between being up here in your conscious mind and either going into your subconscious or superconscious. And some people will argue and tell you that when you're awake, you're in your conscious self. When you go to sleep, you're in your subconscious. And when you're in your subconscious, you have access to the super consciousness that is collective humanity. But with sleep paralysis tends to happen when you're shifting between one of those states. And your consciousness is shifting between being in your awake state of mind, physical, the mental subconscious, or the spiritual superconscious. So when you're shifting through these stages, you can be vulnerable. And what sleep paralysis is that your consciousness starts shifting, but then it stays present, but it's not completely ingrained in your body. So you can't physically move. You can't physically move your body. So a lot of people will feel in their body, but they physically feel like they don't have control of it. And usually, the most common case is that sleep paralysis is induced by jinn, these spirits. And what they're trying to do is that's a vulnerable state for you. And if they can get you scared enough, they can either harvest your energy or like a succubus or succubi, they can harvest your sexual energy, they can possess you. And that's essentially what sleep paralysis is. It's your consciousness shifting between those stages. But whenever it's a negative, just terrifying experience, that's when another entity is trying to interrupt you. But a lot of times, sleep paralysis can happen because your consciousness is just like, like I'm not ready to go into the subconscious yet. I'm just chilling.
Yeah.
Like I'm just being aware. It's kind of like meditation for your consciousness.
Yeah.
It's like complete separation from your body.
Yeah.
So you don't feel like the aches, the pains, and it just it energizes you.
Someone said that they've had to like scream to themselves to wake up. And I mean, now reading that, like I have had moments like that where I'm like, wake up, wake up, wake up. Like this is a dream, wake up, So, maybe.
So yeah. Sorry, I just got a really good question. And this was crazy. Talking about baby souls, like we were last night. Somebody asked, so are animals and other elemental objects like baby souls? They can be baby souls, or they can be in between, or they can be extremely old. It's just about what your soul contract and what your higher self decides. So like I could literally die today and choose to reincarnate as a killer whale because my purpose is better served that way. So if you've seen those crazy movies where a father dies and then comes back as his son's dog to take care of his son, that's a perfect example. But
so,
okay, getting back to what you were saying.
Well, people have asked me what happens after you die. And I said, I think we reincarnate until we fulfill our purpose. But now knowing that, we're going through different densities as far as like, first, second, third, now we're ascending into fourth. I think we reincarnate a few times in each density until we fulfill our purpose and learn our lesson in that density. But like you were saying, we don't reincarnate right away. So, like in one of my past lives, I lived in sometime in the 1700s, then in the 1800s. Then I ended up dying in 1914. I didn't reincarnate until 1987. So there was a time in between where your soul chooses to kind of take a break. And then you choose to come back.
So, yes. So basically, this ties into possession too. Because people think that possession is all negative, but it's just not. It's really not. It can be positive, negative, or neutral depending on who or what it is. So this is just an example. This isn't to say this is exactly what happened to you while you were between reincarnations, but your soul, your consciousness can exist and can be of service to others. So I've had times where I've been possessed by ancestors of mine to protect me from sexual assault and trauma and things like that, where I gave the steering wheel over to somebody else to protect me. And those people and those guys, those angels, entities, even sometimes ancestor demons, did it to preserve me and protect me. So we can be of service that way when we're between incarnations, and we can help steer people's cars if they consent and they're like our higher selves sign that contract to say, hey, yeah, please protect her from her parents or protect her from this trafficking ring or whatever.
Somebody said, is that why when trauma happens, we don't have memories? Well, I think a lot of times with trauma, I think we block out trauma because it's a way to protect ourselves too.
Sometimes our subconscious, people will argue and say that our subconscious always records our trauma, but the concept is that if you give the steering wheel to another being, that's recorded on their Akashic record instead of yours, which is why you have trouble accessing that memory. So you have to go through them to access that memory. You don't just go to your own book. And that's why you have trouble pulling up the memory sometimes.
So last night we were talking about what happens when you sleep with another person and how you're trained karma, which I thought was such an interesting thing because it's so accurate. When you was saying that when you sleep with someone that you transfer, energies, right? And like she's like, you've heard of that, right? And I was like, yeah.
Sacred energy exchange.
Yeah, energy exchange. And I was like, yeah, but I never believed it because to me, the act of sleeping with someone didn't have to be us on a soul level. It's like, who cares? Like, we're just bodies. But now at the, consciousness that I am at, I can see, how I get it now, right? So she was saying that if you have a lot of, what was it? If you have like a lot of good karma, or if you're just like a light worker,
Okay.
or
so basically, I'm just going to use myself as an example. As somebody who's been reincarnating for 90,000 years on Earth alone, I basically have a Harry Potter style karma bank that's full of gold or karma. And when I entered this world and I was high vibrational and I was full of love, I was attracting the opposite. So attracting men who had no abundance, had no love, had none of these things that I had in my life. So what happens a lot of times, I mean, with the soul contracts and everything, you know that by having sex with this person who's in a negative, lower space, you're going to be giving your good karma, your good energy, and exchanging it for that bad. But as light workers or even dark workers, we do that intentionally, kind of masochistically, because we know we can handle it and we can take their bad and we're willing to give them gold from our vault while we transmute the shit that they would never be able to handle, which is why they gave it to us. They gave their baggage to dispose of.
It just makes so much sense because of, the people that I've been with and the trauma or the baggage or the karma that I've collected through them. But like, literally, I asked my guides, like, why did I choose these people? And they said, yeah, it was part of your soul contract. But you did it because you were able to help them, in their spiritual journey and into ascending. And you essentially, because you sacrificed yourself for them, your higher consciousness self knew what you were doing and allowed you to sacrifice yourself for them. So you accumulated a ton of positive karma for yourself. So it's crazy.
So basically you go into debt for them, knowing that you can flip that debt into profit.
Yeah, it's so nuts. I had no idea. So like, I was with these guys and I was accumulating like all of their like horrible karma or whatever, essentially taking on their baggage. But in the end, it was to help me because I was letting them transfer that onto me and I was going through all this pain and suffering. But in the end, because I sacrificed myself for them, essentially, now I've accumulated so much positive karma because of me going through the suffering. It's such a weird concept to think about.
And then the concept that you're going through unnecessary suffering is what makes the payout so much bigger. But again, we're not supposed to be looking at it as in terms of a payout.
Right.
Like, we're
because
just doing it to be good.
At the time, I didn't know that was a thing. So like, now that you know this, don't go and be staying in toxic relationships thinking, well, if I stay here, I'm going to accumulate positive karma, because now you're aware. I wasn't aware when I was doing it. I really thought that I was doing, what I should be doing at the time. And I was really just trying to help another person, but I wasn't helping that other person.
Dude, somebody said, we are probably in a terrarium made by aliens. I have to drop the mic. Like,
no, literally, we're literally like alien experiments.
This is a zoo. Okay.
I think it's like an article that just came out. Like, there's some scientists that confirmed we're alien experiments. I'm like, oh, but you guys believe him, but you didn't believe me when I said it.
Right.
Exes were programmed to get in the way. I mean, yeah, literally, like,
they come into our lives to help us grow and serve as lessons. And some people, like, as much as we love them and we think we can heal them and be with them and it's supposed to be our forever, it is just not in their plans. As much as you want it, as much as you think you can make them fall in love with you, whatever, it's not. And don't get me wrong, with manifestation and law of assumption, you can have anyone, anything, but you're not going to have that exact person. You're going to shift to a reality where that person actually wants you.
Yeah, and
But
that's
at the
another
same
thing.
time, like, why would you waste your time going to other realities to be with somebody who doesn't want you when you could have somebody who feels about you the way you feel about this asshole?
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. That's another thing about when it comes to manifesting. You have to remember that you can't manifest someone else's reality. You can only manifest your own. So you can't sit here and be like, I mean, people have done it where like he loves me, I'm all he thinks about, blah blah, and it turns into an obsession and it turns into something negative. So you have to remember you can't manipulate and you can't you can't control someone else's life. So you can only manifest for your own life. You can try to say like, oh, I mean, you can try and be like, our relationship is great, we're, it's so healthy, blah blah blah, but like, because you are, essentially trying to manipulate someone else's life and timelines at the same time, it may not work out because you're involved.
It may hurt you.
Yeah.
It may hurt you because you're trying to force another part of yourself to do something that they have not yet chosen to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for me, like, somebody commented twin flames, and it's so funny. I actually have a twin flame, and I've been in a relationship with him for the past 12 years. And it's just so different. Like, sorry, my mind got zoomed somewhere else. What were we just talking about? Take me back, please.
You were talking about your twin flame and you were together for 12 years.
No, but what were you saying before that?
Oh, you just read someone's comment about twin flames.
And then, but we were just talking about something else. Damn it.
Oh, I was just saying how you can't manipulate, like, you can't manifest someone else's reality for your own.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. So the reason that I was able to finally fix things with my twin flame is because for the longest time I was like, we're supposed to be together, we're supposed to be together, let's do this, let's do this. And when I would get tired and stop, he would be like, we're supposed to be together, let's do this, we're supposed to be together, let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
But I finally reached a point where I said, hey, I believe that we are meant to be, and if you want to be with me, it'll come to be. So I put it out there that, hey, I'm only here for you. I love you, but it's up to you. So it's like an open door. It's not an expectation. And when you make that offering to people, it's like setting a bird free. If they come home, they're meant to be with you.
Yeah. Which, like, to me, as of right now, I'm not on that. I'm like, you leave, you're gone. Bye. I used to be like, oh, if he comes back, no, they'll always come back. They always come back. Okay. And if they're toxic, they're going to keep coming back because they're an energy vampire and they will take from you and take and take and take because you are positive karma for them. So they're taking your energy. But for me, I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore.
And it was like when you were saying that, like, fuck, I feel like my life is good luck Chuck.
Yeah.
Like, I'm at a great place. I meet this guy. I have an exchange with him, an energy exchange. It ends, and then I'm in a shitty place, and this fucker is like finding the perfect girlfriend, or he's getting some awesome job, or some fucking awesome shit is falling into his lap while you're like dealing with the emotional baggage.
Yeah. Literally. I spent like my whole life just crying over other people hurting me. So, damn, I really was just like, they really were just sucking the energy out of me.
And you were just being a super sweet soul and saying, hey, you must need it more than I do, so here you go. Wow. My ear is ringing. My right ear is ringing.
Oh, is it?
Real quick question. Somebody asked, do dreams mean something?
Well, I mean, they do for me. I do have a lot of premonition dreams, so.
It depends on the person, I would say. And I would say it depends on the context, because like for me, I've come to the point where I can tell the difference between like premonitions memories from past lives or astral projection into other realities.
Yeah, I was just going to
So
say that too. I tell people all the time, I can decipher which ones are premonitions. And remember last night we were talking about, we saw people in our dreams who we've had conflicted with in our waking dream in our real life. And where I said I kept dreaming with these people over and over and over until I finally got my closure with them. And I feel like that was entering an alternate reality where I got the closure that I needed in this life or in this time.
exactly. And the way that the way that dreams work, it again ties to like the super conscious, the conscious, and the subconscious. So it can be your higher consciousness connecting with other consciousness, so you find that forgiveness that you wouldn't find in your waking life, or whatever interaction that you're not getting in your physical life you're able to have in your dreams. So that can be a meaning. But the main thing that dreams tend to be is messages. And it really comes down to the person on how you want to interpret that message.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a message to me? Is it a message about people around me? Is it about the world? And a lot of times, for the majority of people, dreams are how your subconscious mind, that does not have a mouth like you do, tries to communicate with your conscious soul mind to say, hey, yo, this is what's going on. So, like, if you have a dream where you're stressing about, like, failing a test, you probably haven't been studying like you were supposed to. And your subconscious is like, hey, yo, I'm stressing about this. Like, hey, what's up? Like, communicating a message.
Somebody asked about recurring dreams. I used to have a recurring dream when I was a kid that I died by I was sitting in the back of a car in the seat in the back of a car, and the car rolled backwards and fell off a cliff and I died. I don't know why. I'm like, did I die like that in another life? I don't know. But yeah, what do you guys think? What do you think about recurring dreams?
Um, fuck. Okay, so my main experience in this lifetime with recurring dreams was prior to my abuelita, my grandmother, dying. And for a year before she died, basically I was having this dream where I was in this van, like the kind of daycare style vans that have multiple rows of seats. My mom is driving the van. I'm sitting on the first row. And basically, I see my abuelita, my grandmother, like 7 rows back, and that's how I knew it was a dream. I was like, this van is incredibly long. And then feelings of despair just started overwhelming me. And I looked on the floor. I saw a toy from my childhood that we had. I don't know if you guys remember those cats and dogs that were super flat, like they were like squished. But anyways, I see this toy on the floor, and I'm thinking like, oh, I love that toy. Like it was like a representation of my childhood. And then I look I look back at my grandmother. She's gone, and I'm like freaking out. So I look under the seat. And when I look under the seat, I see these like green germ gremlin like things grabbing my grandmother and like sucking her down, sucking the life out of her. So for me, that reoccurring dream was a warning that the like death or the forces that are opposite to life were consuming my grandmother, and that was a warning to me. But as a child at the time, I didn't understand it. I just got scared and I created more distance between me and my grandmother, which in turn later I found out that it was me trying to tell myself, hey, she's dying. Do something. Like this is warning, warning, warning. Like, and I was getting the warning a year in advance. So, I mean, reoccurring dreams, like if you keep having the same dream, it's because there's a message there that you have not picked up. Is
I wonder what mine was,
usually
because
the main.
I was a kid and somebody asked, was the cliff by your house? I still can see it. It was in front of my grandma's house in Puerto Rico, and I was in like this blue car, old school car. I was a kid. It was like a 70s 80s type of car. I was sitting in the back seat, and I was waiting for my parents who had gone inside. And I was sitting in the back, and the car rolled backwards and fell off a cliff, and I died. And that's literally, I used to have that dream I lost count until like I think until I hit like maybe my preteen years, I finally stopped having that dream. But I used to have that dream so much as a kid. It was just like I just got used to
So,
having it.
so you had a dream with a rollover accident, but in your dream, were you the same age as you were when you were having the dream, or was it?
I think I was like the same age, yeah, because I remember I was like 7, I think. And I just used to have that dream like so much though. And I don't. It was
Sometimes.
literally the same vision over and over and over again. So like even if I got older, I wonder. I think I was still that age, when I first started the dream.
Yeah. I mean, the feeling that I get is that it was a warning, but they kept sending you that message until your conscious, subconscious, superconscious actions and daily choices changed enough where that outcome was no longer connected to your reality, if that makes sense.
I wonder what it means though. I don't know.
I mean, it feels like you that was one of the ways that you were set to die in this life, but you didn't. And they're plugging some kind of information in you with that message to keep that from happening in the real world. So that's why they keep showing, like,
That's crazy
if
because like I was in my dream I see myself as being 7, but then like we moved from Puerto Rico when I was 6. So like what if we had stayed in that timeline of staying in Puerto Rico, and what that would
Mhm.
have happened, because I think my dad did have a really old school blue car. So like what if that was a different timeline that could have happened in.
That you were having visions of.
Yeah, if we didn't end up moving to Florida from Puerto Rico when I was 6, and I could have had that reality happen. That's so crazy to think about. Now that that dreams are essentially alternate realities, it's crazy to think about that I was going to that alternate reality and that could have happened to
Mhm.
me.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that like somebody like Daniel commented over here. He's one of your followers. He came over here to answer questions. Thank you, Daniel. I made you a moderator. But that dreams are an alternate reality. And your mind does not know the difference between dream reality and waking reality.
Somebody is asking me about my incarnation dates. No, I have to go back. I should have written it down before I came on this live. I incarnated in Atlantis, in Egyptian, in Egypt, and then I incarnated in the 1700s in Greece. I have to get the date. Then I reincarnated again in the 1800s, I think, and then I died in 1914. And then I reincarnated again in 1987, which is, this lifetime now. I have to go back and listen to it so I can make a video for you guys and write it all down, all the specific dates, because I didn't write them down.
Okay, I saw this question and let me share it with you because this is very important because I actually dealt with this as a child. Um, one of my followers asked, why does my daughter say that people in suits are taking her in her dreams? So, to get you started on the right path, all you have to do is look up gang stalking in dreams. So, a bunch of entities will approach a child and use their presence to intimidate that child into giving their consent to take that child and do whatever or go wherever it is that they're going.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I had that experience as a child where I would have men chasing me and I was running and my family was nowhere to be found. Nobody was helping me. And it's terrifying. And that's just the negative forces that be trying to take and turn people to their side. And they usually attack you before age of 9 because that's when you're most spiritually powerful,
That's so crazy.
before you've been dulled by the world.
Yeah.
So very important question. Thank you.
I had a friend that had um the alien.
She's only 5.
Oh.
Mm-mm.
I had a
Make
friend
sure you
that had
tell her that she's
the
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say, make sure you tell her she's always protected and that love is the only shield that she needs, and nobody and nothing can do anything to her without her saying yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Somebody is asking, how do we start teaching our kids about this?
About like spirituality or like the harsh societal truths that are crumbling?
Yeah, right. I know there's so much. Oh,
So
before we get into this real quick, people are asking me, how did I know the years I reincarnated? So I said it at the beginning of this when I first got on. If you guys go on YouTube, find Sam the Illusionist. He is from India. He only has like 300 followers or subscribers on YouTube, but he channels the Galactic Federation. He channels other beings. He can channel your higher consciousness. So I got a past life reading from him yesterday and it was very accurate. So I definitely believe him that he's for real. He doesn't have a set price. You just donate what you can to his PayPal. He is not on TikTok because TikTok is banned in India, but you can find his YouTube. It is Sam the Illusionist. And if you watch his video at the very end, he says, if you want a past life regression, please email me. And he lists his email. I will be making a video about it so I can let all of my followers know because everybody wants to, do this. Look him up and email him and you can book an appointment with him. He's great. And you get to ask 3 questions.
yes, and also I'm just responding to the father that asked that question right now about his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean if I don't dream? If you're not dreaming, most likely there's a block, and there's a spiritual block, and it could be one that you placed there, someone else placed there, but it's usually like a spiritual psychological block. And a lot of people, like everyone dreams. It's just a matter of being able to access that recording and not being blocked from it.
Yeah.
And being able to remember when you wake up.
Yeah.
So before you go to sleep, speaking the intentions and believing, when I go to sleep tonight, I will remember every detail of my dream. And when I wake up, I'll be able to write it all down.
Well, I also say that it's your soul that has entered into those alternate realities and your soul decides what you want to remember from that. So like your other higher consciousness self might not be letting you remember your dreams. I tend to remember. I've always had vivid dreams. So like apparently my higher consciousness self was very big on letting me remember my dreams. And
Yeah.
it may not be exactly what you dreamt because your other dimensional self will only let you remember what they want you to remember about that dream.
Exactly. And what I had another important question that ties to this. It's like, I keep lucid dreaming within a dream. What is that? Be so careful with that. Any familiar faces in your dreams and your subconscious, do not assume that they are actually those people that you are seeing them as. So if it's somebody like pretending to be your family or your friend, don't assume in your dream that that person is that person. So for me, whenever I was lucid dreaming and I would dream within a dream, I was being pulled by these entities deeper and deeper into my subconscious, away from my physical body, because they were trying to lock me, Inception style, in my head so they could take the steering wheel. So lucid dreaming, like with it, like a dream within a dream, like just be careful and be aware of that. Because there are aspects of your subconscious that could be like ancestor generations ago that can tear your ass up and destroy you, and that's why you're being blocked from accessing stuff like that.
People are asking, how do we keep our kids safe from spiritual warfare? I don't have kids, so
Prayer. And when I say prayer, I mean being completely honest, vulnerable, and in a love space. Like, it doesn't matter if it's God, if it's Allah, if it's the Greek god Zeus, whoever or whatever you believe in. Like, if you just believe in nature, the universe, or shit, you're atheist, then you pray and you let them know that you are always protected. I will always protect you. The universe that helped you, that brought you to me and gifted your beautiful life to me, will protect you. You are love. You are the physical manifestation of love. And just speaking all these things over your children, and when they're able to speak, help them, teach them to speak and affirm these things over themselves, and help them to see and believe what you've already experienced. And whatever that means for your faith, because everybody's different. Everybody calls their God by a different name. It doesn't matter. It's just prayer, speaking words, casting protection spells over your loved ones, while society is casting all these evil bullshit spells.
Yeah. I will say that I think that is definitely what helped me stay protected my whole life, is how my mom was very, very into God and prayer. And she instilled that in me, was like, have no fear. Like, you are protected. God always has your back. If you ever are scared of anything, pray and the evil will go away. And I really believed it wholeheartedly. And it's really about having faith. You having faith, and you like putting that into your child to be like, just have faith. Like, you are protected. No one can harm you. Like, nothing. I feel like, I know it's like anything can happen, but your mind is so powerful that when your kid starts to believe like no one can hurt me. I really was never hurt in the physical form. Like, the hurt that I went was through like heartache. But I was
Mm-hmm.
never, thank God, I was never hurt physically. And I'm not saying I'm better than anyone, because that didn't happen to
Mm-hmm.
me. I just feel like I strongly believe that I had angels. My mom would tell me, you have angels around you all the time. They are protecting you. And so
Mm-hmm.
I had such a strong imagination. I literally physically believed that I had angels around me. So I never feared that anything physical would happen to me, because I genuinely believed that I had protection all the time. But they did say, I meant, how do we teach our kids to wake up? But I think kids are already born awake. What happens is that society
Puts them to sleep
puts them to sleep. So what you're saying is, how do we keep them awake, is pretty much what.
by allowing them to speak their truth.
Yes.
As long as children allow, and they're allowed to have an open heart space and operate from a place of love and truth, they will be awake in the face of anything and everything, and even an army of soldiers would not be able to touch your child.
Right.
Like, if you've seen like protests where people are like praying over the people that are like the police or the soldiers that are beating other people, like they're just staring at them, and they're transfixed, they're moved, like your consciousness is at a stronger space, so they are forced to respect the boundary you're setting.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think also, like, listen to them. If they tell you they see something, don't tell them there's nothing there, because they see it.
They can see things that you
They can
cannot.
see things that you can't. Ask them questions, have them open up more. I think also, don't like discredit whatever they see, whatever they believe, whatever they tell you, and don't.
Don't shut down and don't react. You have to be active and respond to your child. Don't just react and get triggered or
Yeah, don't and don't like kill their dreams. Like, they're kids, and the real world will kill their dreams soon enough. You don't have to be the one to do it. And I hate, like, I swear parents are our biggest bullies, because parents really did like kill, the fantasy of, what we could have had if we followed our dreams and passion. But because society tells us no, then we fall into a deep sleep, because we've been, brainwashed to think that our imaginations are too wild.
so basically our soul sees Earth, hears Earth's cry, and says, I'm going there to help. And we're born, we're like, okay, truth, I know what love, I know what right, wrong, neutral, everything is. And then society takes you and says, you don't have a path, you don't have a purpose. When you came here, damned sure to be on a path to help and to have a specific purpose, that it causes you to question everything that you knew for a fact as your consciousness, your reality, your creation, who you came from, what you truly are. And it's like they're forcing us to commit spiritual suicide.
Yeah.
And that's what these some of these people who are asleep, they've committed spiritual suicide.
Yeah.
Where they've given their ego the steering wheel, and their soul has just checked out and is just waiting for something to change or
Someone
effect.
asked if school is keeping kids asleep. 100%.
Oh yeah, it's an I'm sorry. No, schools are not keeping people asleep. Schools are reputable systems. They're public systems that are respected, and I completely support them. They totally take care of our kids. I trust the public school system 100%. Did you catch that TikTok?
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
Yeah.
but honestly, public school teaches people how to be workers and not free thinkers.
Right.
And college just makes you think that if we give you a little bit more freedom, you're just like a level up above the working class, but you think you have some power.
Yeah.
Or you have some status.
It's literally like,
but you just paid money in their pocket.
I mean, they, like Rockefeller said, I want a nation of doers, not a nation of thinkers, when he started investing money into the public school system. So it's really just, it's to indoctrinate and to make the kids start off at, 5 years old, get used to this life, the 9 to 5, essentially.
Sit on a desk, be powerless, do nothing. You are like, you have all these limits. You are weak. Your voice means nothing. Shut up. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
You're not allowed to be a free thinker. You're not allowed to speak out of turn. You have to raise your hand to use the bathroom. It's literally the what is it, the fucking school to prison pipeline? I forgot what it's called.
Yes. So it's like the conditioning system, like do this, you get this result. But it's such a interesting system. Like, they did a really good job, from like the lights that like flicker and buzz and like fuck up our energetic field. Like, everything is intentional about the way the system was designed.
Someone said we should do a podcast together. Well, I have a podcast, and I'm gonna put this up on my podcast. We're running on almost 2 hours now, so I have to wrap it up. But before we leave, I do want to talk about our birth certificates.
Yes. Really quick, I do want to say, for anybody, if I did not answer your question, please feel free to go to my profile and use the Q&A, and I can respond via story, video, or next time I go live, if in case we didn't get to you. So
yeah, and I definitely will be making a video to like lead you guys to her profile as well, because she does have so many answers. And right now they've been trying to take her account down because her account is about exposing a lot of what this app is doing with minors, and what the whole system is doing with minors. So they don't want her talking about that. So I said, why don't we shift your content a little bit in the meantime, and we can start answering some questions, on what you know. So,
it doesn't have to be corruption truths. It can be mental or spiritual truths too.
Yeah, there's just so much. And I'm all about like leading you guys to other, other creators that can help you guys in different avenues. I think that part of my mission is to connect people to other people, and I've been able to have so many resources. I have Road to Roses, who does the brain scans, is a neuroscientist, and can tell you guys how this stuff really does affect the brain. And then there's, JK Ultra, who has her whole, she's done all the Dolores Cannon, the New Earth series, the Alien series, all that. I've shown you guys other conspiracy theorists, TikToks. We have the flat earthers, if you guys want to, go down that road. And then now we've got Whitney, who can help you guys, with like a lot, honestly, with spiritual and, whatever.
And somebody in my comments said that I'm a healer. Yes, 100%. I'm a healer. I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm a warrior. Whatever it is that you need, I am here to help everyone.
My podcast and my YouTube are both in my link tree. My YouTube is Alex Serves. My podcast is Alex Serves It All on Spotify and Apple, and I will be uploading this live onto both if you guys missed any of it.
Thank you.
So let's talk about our birth certificate and how our parents are essentially signing us off.
And consenting.
Consent.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everything that we are about to discuss is not financial advice. Everything we're about to discuss is just for educational and awareness purposes. Please don't take anything as concrete fact, and please do your own research. Disclaimer. Trigger warning. Okay. Moderators, TikTok moderators, did you catch that? Okay, cool. You know they're watching.
Yeah. These are just conspiracy theories anyways. Like, don't
conspiracy,
we're crazy. Don't listen to us.
Did you know that one of the first definitions for the word crazy is passionate?
Well,
like, fucking trying to gaslight me for being passionate.
Yeah, right.
Get out of here. Okay. So birth certificates. What are birth certificates? Without going too far into how we got onto the birth certificate system, basic breakdown, we were forced into World War II, and we did not have the funds to finance the war. And our president at the time had to make an agreement with the Federal Reserve, who you all know as Soros, Rockefeller, all those people, those bloodlines, whatever. They said, we will bail you out and we will give you the money to win the war. But you have to fall off the gold and silver standard. So that means American dollars, which had value that could be exchanged for gold or silver, would fall off the gold and silver standard. And instead of being backed, they would be now turned into debt notes. So it's a debt system. So when we're born, automatically we are entitled to the United States. Like we're basically like chairmen. We're like shareholders. But when our parents sign our birth certificate, they're signing our shareholder position to the government and the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve is now managing our birth certificate, which is a blood bond, a blood bank bond, which is why the numbers are in red on your birth certificate. So that was basically how we got into the system. Our soldiers were starving to death overseas, and we needed the bullets, we needed the food, we needed the stuff. Like, they backed us into an intentional corner, and this was the only way out. But it was deeper into the snake hole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Snake.
So yeah, so we're we're just little slaves to the society. Which is why
to society, not the system. The system loves us and takes care of us and would never hurt us. We love the system.
They definitely have our best mind for literally everything.
Yeah, so think of it like this. Think of it as we were born into a utopia where all our bills are prepaid. And then when our parents sign our birth certificate, they're volunteering us for the shittiest game of Monopoly capitalism ever.
Someone just asked, so if I have a kid, do I have to get a birth certificate for them? Or can I just
Yes. Not? So you get a birth certificate, but you authenticate it and you don't send it. You don't sign it over to the Federal Reserve. So you stay as the shareholder, the owner and holder of that birth certificate until your child is 18 and is able to hold that. So when you keep the birth certificate and you don't sign it over to them, you're considered a live birth, a living person who is above the government. But when they sign that birth certificate, you're considered a dead person, lost at sea.
It's just crazy.
And that's why they're able to do whatever they want with your stuff.
No one knows that. So, like, if you're at the hospital and you have a kid, can you be like, oh, I'll just get this. I don't want to sign it, though.
Yes, but a lot of hospitals have been indoctrinated for so many generations that they will, like, forcibly hold you and try to force you. So you usually have to, like, go and make a legal plan and legal disclaimer and give that and present that to the hospital. That way they are required to follow your birth plan down to a T. So like if you wanna wait 5 minutes to cut the umbilical cord so the baby can get the rest of the blood that's in the placenta that it needs, you can do that. But you have to do the birth plan, which is basically your legal protection from the hospital. So if they violate that in any way, like you say you don't want your child to get any vaccinations, get that on the birth plan before you get there. Or if you want to like, hey, I don't think my kid needs 160 vaccinations, I'm just going to do like tetanus and like, or rabies or like the 100% lethal diseases, you can do that. But there's just ways, like just don't allow yourself, when they tell you you have to do something, you don't have to do a damn thing, because they will try to bully you. Because the medical system and the school system, I'm just gonna give you guys the monkey experiment in case you haven't heard it. So you take 10 monkeys, you put them in a cage. In this cage there is a ladder. At the top of the ladder there's a bunch of bananas. So with this experiment, as soon as it started, one of the monkeys runs and tries to grab the bananas. And what the scientists do, they spray all the monkeys with a water hose, like a fire hose. They spray them down. It's miserable. They're wet. They're cold. They feel horrible. And after that, none of the monkeys try to go up the ladder, because they know if one monkey goes up there, they're all going to get it, right? So what the scientists do next, they take one of the 10 monkeys out of the cage. They take a monkey who has no experience with the ladder, with the bananas, or the other monkeys. They put him in, and what's that monkey do? Tries to run up the ladder to get a banana because it's hungry. It's natural. It's normal. It's what they do. And as soon as that monkey runs up the ladder, the scientists don't have to grab the water hose, because now the other 9 monkeys are beating that monkey so they don't get sprayed with the water hose, because they know what will happen if that monkey goes up there. So over time, they take every single monkey from the original experiment out, and now you have 10 monkeys who were never sprayed with a water hose, but now beat every new individual member that tries to climb that ladder. Mm-hmm. And that's what indoctrination systems are.
Exactly.
People have been conditioned for so long that they didn't actually receive the conditioning. They're just doing what people before them were doing and told them to do. So when people attack you and say you have to get vaccines, you have to do this, like you have to give birth on your back at a hospital, you can't give birth in water, like that's what that is. Mm-hmm. It's conditioning.
Yeah. What was that video you sent me? The sovereignty.
Oh, you know what? I have a couple of great creators that I follow in here that are working and navigating the whole path and process of getting your birth certificate back from the Federal Reserve. But the video that I sent you was essentially a bunch of legal definitions that were the original definitions that we still operate under. So like a Black's Law dictionary, like the first edition, is basically the most authentic rulebook that we have. And once you get to the 5th edition, things have been so spread out and so many extra definitions have been added in. It's like a harder system to navigate through. So it's kind of like the government and Congress. Congress, there are so many rules and legislations in Congress that one person physically cannot read and learn them all. And they all have to come together and learn different parts. And that's what they're doing with the Black's Law Dictionary. That's why it's better to get a first edition, because it doesn't have all this filler shit added in. Mm-hmm. And they basically do that to convolute it, so it's like a needle in a haystack, basically. If you don't know the rules of the game, you're gonna get caught and trapped and sent to jail.
Mm-hmm. How do we feel about not paying taxes?
So taxes, some taxes are voluntary and other taxes are not. But for our next live, I'll come back so we can actually go into detail. But essentially, income tax, not real. Is it actually real? Like, do we pay it? Yes. Why do we pay it? Because somebody told us that we had to when we didn't have to, and we were gullible and naive enough to believe that this person actually, you know, biggest scam.
Everything is made up.
But like, yeah,
Everything is a scam. Life,
whatever
is
you
a scam.
believe becomes your reality.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, this is great. Everybody's great. And I just want to say thank you again, Daniel, for moderating and answering and helping all these people. You have been awesome. You have awesome followers, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, this was so great. So, since we're hitting 2 hours, I'm gonna get off just because I like to upload this onto my TikTok, to my YouTube and my God, my YouTube and my
YouTube.
and it gets too long. I stay on here way too long, and I gotta cut it short. But we will do other lives for sure because we literally talked for 8 hours yesterday, so we can talk all day and all night, and we didn't get any sleep. And so we'll definitely get into other subjects for sure. And I know you guys said like, oh, we should do a podcast. I mean, at this point, I pretty much just upload the lives onto podcast. It's good because I can have you guys asking questions, so we can answer them together. And if we do a podcast, we wouldn't really be able to, answer your guys' questions. I mean, we can have a podcast where we talk about different subjects on our own because we could talk forever. So.
Exactly. And it's realistically when people understand that there is an abundance of everything and we get out of that fear mindset, that's when we reach utopia. Like free education, free healthcare, everything can be free. We just have to help these people who think that people need to earn it. Oh, you were born? No, you still need to work for this food. You can't just have it even if you're a baby and you can't survive on your own or feed yourself. Like you need to work for this. Like what? Like we need to come together as a collective, as a community, and start sharing information freely. But we also have to acknowledge that, again, right now we're still in the rat race, at least some of us. So there are times where we're going to ask for like donations or contributions just because, like, hey, if I'm going to do a reading on you, it's supposed to be an equivalent exchange. So if I'm giving you an hour of my time to like read into your mind and help you achieve answers, yes, I can do that for free and I will be called to do that for free, but there are times where I need a little bit in return to help me help other people.
Exactly.
So if that's like a $5 donation, that makes a huge difference because now somebody who has absolutely no money, I can now go help them for free based off of your donation. Like you're paying the gift forward.
Right. Yeah. So it's kind of like, if you guys want to do your past life reading or Akashic record reading, like I said, find Sam the Illusionist on YouTube and email him at the end of his video. He puts his email him, and he takes donations through PayPal to do a past life reading. I was talking with Whitney last night about this, and I said, I don't know how I could turn what I'm doing into a career. And if it was up to me, I would never ask for money because yes. I don't want to live in a society that revolves everything around money because money isn't even real.
Money is just a middleman.
Right.
We don't need money, but to get out of this money system, we need to play the game that they put us in, but we need to play together on the same team so we can help each other out of it.
Exactly.
It's like the whole concept that if Alex has 600,000 followers and all 600,000 of us sent her $1, she would now have enough money to sue the government, or sorry, not the government. We love you. We love the government. Sue whoever to buy land, to help her community, to take people off the streets and be that helping hand. Like we have the power to do that with TikTok.
Yeah.
So everybody coming together and playing this game together instead of against each other, that's how we win. That's exactly why they were able to collect 99% of the wealth, because those assholes have been working together for thousands of years.
Yeah, they are literally a gang against all of us, and they have divided all of us while they stick together. So what we need to do is turn it around and do exactly what they did to us against them. But we outnumber them so much more. So that's why we all need to come together as a collective and use what they did to us against them. So again, like, you know, wherever this path takes me, because my guides have told me, like, you can be your own boss, like, you can do it, follow your heart, you know what you're an expert at, you can do it. And I'm like, okay, but I feel really bad. I don't like to ask people for money. But at this point, it's like, if I want to stop working for corporations and for the man, and I want to start doing it for myself, we all have to help each other out. And unfortunately, that may come at the cost of, like, if I'm giving you guys information, and I literally just talked to Katie earlier, Whitney, and she asked me, have you thought about being like a life coach to help people in the awakening process? And I was like, that's so crazy that you said that, because, like, I don't know what to do. My spirit guides told me, like, you know what to do, just figure it out. And so the fact that she said that, she's like, you could definitely do it. You can put together a course, you can, like, help people travel or whatever. And so who knows where this path is going to take me, but just know that if it was up to me, I would never ask you guys for a single fucking penny. But if I choose, or the path takes me to leave the corporate world, essentially the mainstream world, and have to do this on my own, like, we all have to support each other, because I'm helping you guys, with this process, and I'm helping you connect to, like, all of these people who have all of these answers. And so we all just need to, like, help each other. Essentially, I'm helping you guys, like, with the knowledge that I have and I've been given. And unfortunately, the payment would have to be monetary value, which I don't want to. But because somebody commented, I talked about the food shortages and the plants burning down, and I said, I don't know what to do right now. I'm taking it day by day. I just go to the store and buy what I need, and I don't know what to do. And they go, oh my God, you're such a hypocrite. I can't believe you still go to a job, and I can't believe you still go to the store and buy your food. And I'm like, yeah, it's almost
We've all been forced into this shitty
exactly.
Monopoly game, and we're at different stages of trying to get out. Like, we have to stop judging each other, because that's how we shoot each other in the feet.
I literally replied back
That's
and
what they
said,
want us to do.
oh man, it's almost as if I have to participate in the system that I was brought into until I can change it. Like, I can't.
That's weird.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Like, you have to change it by being inside it. Like, that's such a weird concept.
Yeah.
Why would you have to get inside the machine to fix the machine?
And the problem is, like, I'm not gonna go live out in the middle of the woods and, like, eat bugs. No, like, right now, this is the system I live in.
Bugs.
I literally, like, I work so I can pay my bills. Okay, that's what I'm doing. And I would like to all come together as a collective and make this the utopia of moneyless system. That is my ultimate dream. Yes, that would be great. But as of right now, I need the collective to get together so we can do it. I can't just do it alone, because one person isn't just going to make a difference. All of us have to come together as a collective to make the difference.
That means that we all stop going to McDonald's, we stop overpaying at Disney, we stop giving these giant corporations that have trillions of dollars money, and we start giving money to each other.
Yeah,
and we keep it in the working class, and we quit feeding the top monopoly.
And the other thing is, if we don't have money to give each other, we can trade our services as well. Like, if you do something, like, let's say, I need a haircut, and you happen to live where I live, and I'm like, hey, can you cut my hair? And you're like, yeah, can you do this for me? I'm like, okay, great. We traded services.
We as a collective humanity can literally say, we're going to go back to the barter system of exchanging things for things, and completely leave the system on its ass.
Yeah.
And say, we don't need your money.
I've been saying this since May of last year. When I started realizing we're shifting to the age of Aquarius, I didn't know about any of this before that. And I said, I believe for the age of Aquarius, we're going to shift into the barter system again, because we realized we don't need them. We don't need them. We all have talents. We all have gifts. We all have something that we're good at, and we can all trade
our services.
Yeah, to give back, to give to each other. We can all help each other. When we're getting rid of clothes, instead of just donating it to fucking Goodwill, who's going to make a profit, or instead of selling it, give it to someone who needs it. Like, you can
go find a homeless person who's missing a pair of shoes and give them the shoes. Yeah, like, why let it sit in a Goodwill that's going to keep it for months and maybe throw it away or sell it to a third party before actually giving it to someone?
Yeah, and right now it sucks because they've killed off so much of our land with all of this fucking, with the roads and the buildings and everything. They keep killing off the...
Yeah, they according to scientists and their made up perceived numbers, I mean, they the conclusion they've come to is that we've destroyed about 70% of our soil, or our topsoil, I'm sorry.
Yeah, which makes
So
it
that in like
hard to
20 years, we won't be able to grow crops if we don't start taking care of the soil now. ASAP.
Exactly. So they're making it harder for us to be able to like farm and grow our own food and everything. So you are getting sucked into having to buy, you know, go out to eat and buy their food and everything because it's not easily accessible for everybody. They're doing everything on purpose. So somebody said, wouldn't this just separate the rich and the poor more? How would the
What do you mean?
this
Like, or what do they mean?
Wouldn't this separate the rich and poor even more? How would the rich continue? I would love to know why you give a shit about the rich, because the rich don't give a shit about you. They
That's a
really,
great question.
they really don't. Like the nobody becomes a billionaire by giving a shit about you. So why do you care? We need to focus on at this point we're in survival mode is what we're doing right now. We're
We
all
can't.
surviving.
We need to be like, to get out of survival mode as a collective, we have to move together and be ruthless the way that they were ruthless against us. It's called tough love.
Yeah.
We cannot take the time to care about people who have spent hundreds of years not caring about us.
Not at
Because
this point,
if we do that, we will not be able to take care of the people they've been hurting.
exactly.
And unfortunately, you cannot choose both at the same time. And by choosing to help the people who need help, you're actually helping that asshole who's had a silver spoon pacifier in his mouth for too long, and he needs to be reminded the value of life again.
Yeah.
So we're actually doing them a favor by knocking them on their asses.
At this point right now, we're flipping the script, because so it's essentially, it was the energy exchange. When you sleep with someone, you take on the, you know, it's like karmic debt that you're taking on for them, and they're taking your positivity and you're taking on their negativity. But what you're doing at the end is flipping the script, and you've collected so much positive karma for yourself. That's essentially what we're doing right now with the system. The system has given us so much negative energy and has given us so much karmic debt, and now it's our time to collect our positive karma, because we have worked our asses off for thousands of years to make them rich and not have to do anything, and so much power and greed. And now it's our time.
And this is what I'm going to tell everyone. And I told Alex this last night when we were talking. Think of everything in terms of neutral, positive, and negative. So if we're like negative 50,000 karma because of everything that's happened with society, the way that reality and manifestation and just the universe responding, the way that it works is that negative can easily be flipped like a switch and then positive. So the same way that these rich people have billions of dollars, now all of a sudden they're negative, and we have the money redistributed amongst ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way that it works. So like, what they don't want you to know about this capitalist system is that you have to go into debt, you have to go deeper to get out. And it seems so mind-boggling. Like, I have to owe more money to get out. That's what business people do. They take on debt and then they flip it for profit.
Yeah. It's like when every time there's been a crash, it's because they have gone so deep that it just crashes. Or like they've gone, it's just
they force it to crash.
Yeah.
Because they fucked up and they couldn't pay back in time, and now they need us to pay off so they can wash their hands of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the 2008 bailout was with Obama.
Yeah.
Was the fact that the banks were trading with foreign interests, like the foreign exchange, and they were losing so many trades that they could not pay back their Chinese whatever country loaners, that we had to bail them out. The working class, he used trillions of our dollars to bail out these bankers who made shitty trades in the span of 5 seconds, blew our hard work and earned money. Like, that's why when they tell you you have to work hard to make a living, no the fuck you don't. They want you to waste your time working minimum wage while they put in and push a button and make $1 million.
Yeah.
On the stock exchange and the foreign exchange.
Yeah.
Okay. I thank you so much, Alex, and thank you everybody else, and thank you Custom Cuts for offering us free fades. I don't think I'll be getting a fade anytime soon. I appreciate you giving back to us in that way. Thank you.
Yeah, same. I think I'll keep my hair, but I appreciate it.
Community taking care, giving back. I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead. Be on the lookout. I'll post this on my podcast and on my YouTube. Both are up in my link tree. My YouTube is Alex Serves. My podcast is Alex Serves It All on Spotify and Apple. And if you guys wanted to get your past life reading or Akashic record reading, look up Sam the Illusionist on YouTube. He does have his email at the end of his videos if you want to book one. It is donations only on PayPal. Whatever you can afford, email him and you can set up an appointment with him. He's great. And it's about about around 10 minutes or so, 3 questions. So it's great. But all right, thanks guys for hanging out. Thank you so much, Whitney, for being here and answering so many questions, and we could really have kept going. We really could have.
Honestly, if anything, it would be really cool. Maybe on a day that we both have off, we can actually have like a 3, 4, 8 hour live, maybe.
Oh my gosh.
Like a work session, but it's actually just a hangout session, like a whole just day of people like being able to enter the chat, exit the chat, and just all kinds of people
intermingling. I'd have to get mentally prepared for that because I always have so much going on. So I always feel like I'm like, oh, I shouldn't go live because I get sucked into them and there's so much else that I can be doing. But yeah, we'll have to plan that ahead. I do have plans next weekend, so I won't be able to this week. And then I do have my birthday coming up and I'm going to ayahuasca, so I have to mentally prepare for that as well, and physically and mentally prepare for that as well. So that's gonna be fun. So yeah, good.
It's gonna be absolutely amazing, and I'm gonna follow your cue, and I'm just gonna go update all my stuff. Like I'm gonna set up a YouTube. I already opened a Facebook and Instagram account, a Twitter account, so you all can follow me and find me, because I got off of Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter when I found out that they were primarily responsible for all of the sex child abuse material that was being reported. I was like, I'm not gonna give money to corporations that are not taking care of kids. And then I realized, like, hey, if these assholes, child predators, are on that app, my presence needs to be there. I need to be a voice there. I need to tell these people, hey, Facebook is doing this while I post on Facebook.
Right, exactly. But which is what we're doing now here with this app, and they try to silence us. But they're not.
So we have to like distribute our knowledge from Twitter to Instagram to, so we don't have the whole pie in one place and they can't fuck with us.
Exactly. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. We will see you next time.
You are awesome. Everybody have a great fucking night or day or wherever you are.
Yeah.
And until later, you know where to find us.
Bye.
Bye.